Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Horst Lüning. This is my son Ben, and today we're in a live tasting, as so often this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of the year's end rally, but we're not yet finished. We still have a few live tastings in front of us, and today we're going to talk about Aberfeldy. Yeah. We're going to try a range of Aberfeldy. We have the 12, the 16, and the 21. And that actually exists on a small miniature set as well, with the exact same whiskies. And what is interesting with Aberfeldy is they all go with 40% ABV.
Mm-hmm.
So from the 12, that's normal. But the 16 is... Usually it has 43 if you have a 16-year-old, and the 21 also has 40%, and that's quite unusual because usually then you have 43 at least, or 46 with most of the whiskeys then.
Yeah, and over the years, they, or in the start, they didn't have so many Aberfeldy original bottlings. There had been a Flora and Fauna bottling with 43%, and then I think it was around 2003, 2004, I do not remember very well. They changed to the official bottling. In the start, there was only the 12-year-old there. And with the years to come, there were more and more bottlings, and the 16-years appeared to be very popular and quite a standard. And the 21-year-old is quite rare, still quite rare. And if you have a look in the back, there's a special cask bottling, and they are available as well, but they are typically individually bottled for companies. Yeah.
So let's start off with where is Aberfeldy. Here is a map of the Highlands, as Aberfeldy is a Highland distillery. And in the Highlands there is a big mountainous region called the Grampian Mountains, and they're quite in the very, very middle of that. And Aberfeldy is just south of the Grampian Mountains. Here you can see it. It's on a big road from Edinburgh up to into the Highlands. And what is also there is the River Tay, and the River Tay is we have a picture for the River Tay. Yeah, here is the picture for the distillery. You can see the highlands in the back, and there's the River Tay, quite a big river. And if you look at the distillery, then you see a bit of smoke or steam coming up. And left of the distillery is a very, very small, there's a little old train. And that's also very, very important for Aberfeldy, that there is a train there. But I will come back to that later. The distillery was founded in 1896 by the family of the Dewars, and they went into business in 1898, so a few years later. And here we have the official document granted by the Her Majesty at Perth, that they were allowed to distill whiskey at the Dewars. The Dewars and Sons were allowed to distill whiskey at the Aberfeldy distillery. They were continuously producing whiskey since 1898, except for between 1917 and 1919, where there was the food shortage in the First World War. And when they built the distillery, that was not for they want to create a single malt, but they actually did want to create spirit for their blend industry, as the Dewars came from the blending industry and they needed spirit and they needed to buy the spirit, and to be more independent they built their own distillery and could produce their own spirit to be used within their Dewars blend.
Sorry, just to interrupt you. In the chat, there's a lot going on. So we are people from everywhere, from the US, from Canada, from Germany, from Scotland, from Poland, from Puerto Rico, Spain. There had been one from Portugal, I've seen already. from Wales, so they are coming from everywhere. So it's quite amazing today. Thank you for joining in.
So yeah, I was with the Dewar's family, and it still belongs to the Dewar's company, and that's why Aberfeldy is the home of the Dewars. And now it has a visitor center. It actually has an extended visitor center now, where the malting floors used to be. Now they have a nice shop, a restaurant, and also a little museum, big video room. And in the museum, there's a lot about the Dewar's family. And the Dewar's family was a family of whiskey blenders, but the brother who didn't go to inherit the company, he actually was really, really famous, and I think he was famous in America, but he was not famous for Dewar's and the blend, but he was famous for creating the most beautiful cocks. And cocks, I mean chicken cocks, so the male chicken, and they breeded them, and he was really, really famous for that. So in that industry, Dewar's, the name Dewar's is not famous for whiskey, but for I think
Chicken.
award-winning chicken that are beautiful.
Yeah, there had been another guy called with the name of Dewar's, and he invented an insulating bottle for chemistry and physics. So probably it's from the same family. And we have a what's called a super chat from Justin in 1981, $4.99. Love your expertise and attention to detail. Love from the US. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So that was it for a little bit of a history and a little bit of the geography of the distillery. So we start off with the Aberfeldy 12 years old. So everybody who has it, get cracking.
Yeah, and here Antonio D, Algarve, Portugal. Yeah, I had been there just a month ago. Wonderful place for making holidays. If Horst likes it, then I will like it. This depends very much. If you like a whiskey, you have to look very carefully on what the people like and dislike, and if you always harmonize with it. So if you find parallels, then the chances are high that you will find parallels again. But if you succeed in, well, say 2/3, then you have to be carefully what you might like and what not.
Oh, besides the German and English channel, they have a Bavarian channel. Seriously, we have a Bavarian channel.
Yeah.
Channel where we just speak Bavarian. No, I think it means refers to your economics channel. So what you got?
So this is a fresh, light, sweet honey and pineapple. I had pineapple for breakfast, fresh cut pineapple. And so this fresh, aromatic, lightly sweet nose is here. Yeah, and it's a malt whiskey, of course. So lots of malt in it. Fresh, fruity, little honey note. Yeah.
Yeah, for me the honey note is very, very dominant. It's a very sweet, flowery, fruity whiskey. So it's a whiskey that really reminds me of summer. And the honey note is said to be the distillery character of Aberfeldy. So this is really the epitome of the distillery character. Oh, someone has it in his glass. White chocolate, pineapple, wild flowers. Definitely, yeah. I think you mentioned it in a German take, the pineapple. Oh yeah, and the chicken cocks, you call them also, you can call them roosters as well.
Ben should shave his head to look like Horst again. There is a funny video online where Ben really shaved his head in the middle.
I think it's called the Lagavulin 16, and then you scroll down, and the one where Horst looks a bit funny, that's my video.
Yeah.
Okay. So, then,
Yeah. Cheers.
Roger.
Mm-hmm. Sweet, juicy, friendly. Oranges, little orange zest, orange peel. Moving over into oakiness. Not too strong, the oakiness, just there, just spiciness. A little bit of cladding in my mouth, so that you feel the oak a little bit longer. Moving into in a drier fashion. Yeah. Not too long, the aftertaste, but really good. Yeah.
What you had in your nose is kept in the taste. It's a beautifully nice, sweet, honey, round whiskey. It doesn't have any edges and sharp tones in it. It's just a 40%er, so that's most of it. But it's also very oily, very creamy, very light. Honey note is most dominant. Then you have fresh fruitiness, tropical fruitiness, and a bit of flower tones in it. Whereas it's more of a nuance in the flowers. And the question is there sherry in it?
I'm not quite sure.
Not quite sure.
A little bit of a syrup note in it. Not that sweet as a syrup is, but a maple syrup. But a little oily, juicy, lightly sweet. Growing aftertaste now with the second sip. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my tip would be, this is a good beginner's whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
If you have some friend who was introduced to a bad kind of whiskey in the party or something like that, and they say, oh, well, whiskey, it's not for me, then you might have that whiskey to repair him and show him what a real premium whiskey can do, because this is a premium whiskey at an entry level, and that is very, very pleasant and not overwhelming. You do have a little bit of an oak in the end. Yeah, some people say it's even too much oak, but I don't find it too much. So it's one of the good entry level whiskeys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kilo Romeo said, I joined the German tasting the second time. I liked it a lot better. Juicy oakiness, well balanced and warm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So should I continue with the little bit of history, and then we go into production? Yeah. So as I was saying, the whiskey, the Aberfeldy Distillery had tracks on there, so train tracks. So when they were building the distillery, they were also building their private train tracks line. So it was not a public train track, but actually just the train tracks to the distillery. I don't know if they had a passenger car in there as well, sometimes to deliver people as well, but they were delivering fuel, they were delivering barley, they were delivering a lot of stuff to the distillery, and they were also transporting back whiskey casks with their finished products.
Oh, we have a super chat, $5 Australian from Perth Luxury. Hi, amazing gentlemen. Could you please do live stream tasting sessions of Talisker, particularly the 8-year-old Talisker Springbank and Arran? Ooh, that's the mixture. So would be the islands and peninsula tasting.
Something like that, yeah.
I have no idea if we are able to put that in.
There will be a tasting of Talisker coming up when I do the distillery, but no, the distillery is back in. No, it's still some time. But Talisker, I can promise you, we will do Talisker at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So back to the train line. Yeah, this is the old steam train, and this train was from 1939, but they didn't continue with all the trains after 1960 because it was just not timely anymore, and nowadays everything works by truck or by lorry, as the UK says.
To interrupt you, sorry. There had been the truck from Perth to Aberfeldy along the valley, and there had been trucks from the north to the northern range of the Grampians and up into the Space side, and they all finished quite to the same time. Mm-hmm. So they all, in the 60s, they stopped operations. Yeah. It was no longer sensible.
Yeah. But the distillery, why was the distillery exactly there if you had to transport everything to the distillery, the fuel, the barley, and all that kind of stuff? That's because they had very, very good water at the distillery. The water comes from the Pitilly burn, and the water is very clear, but the Pitilly burn is not only known for their good water for the Aberfeldy distillery, but it was a river of gold. Yeah, there was gold in that river, and they found that out in 1700, and there was a gold rush, and there were many people standing in the river and just sieving through it and finding gold nuggets. And yeah, there's still belief that there's some gold left in the burn. Yeah, there will be some gold left, and that's why the Aberfeldy is called the golden dram, and that's why the style of Aberfeldy is so much within the golden theme. But what is also there in that river is there are fairies, and they're evil fairies. I think the Usk, there's the land of the Usk, or something like that. If you want to know more about that, watch the distillery video. It's on our YouTube channel. It's the Aberfeldy Distillery.
I think if you look too deep into that bottle, there's fairy in it as well.
Yeah, but the fairies are really evil. And the people that come from that area that work at the distillery, they say, yeah, it's a local kind of tale, and it's not very, very well known. It's not like the big fairy tales, like the ones that have become Disney, but more of the lesser well known, as, let's say, the brothers in Germany, the Brothers Grimm, or what is the lesser known in Britain or America? I don't know. Not the so the lesser known Wicked Witch of the West.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter is also too much known as mainstream. So it's the smaller tales, and they are really evil, and they're meant to scare the little children to not go near the river and not drown in the river. As I was told when I was little, that there's a person grabbing me into the water and then I die. So, but they did it with much more colorful language and much more depth. So if you're into that, there is probably some stuff out there. So let's continue with the 16 then.
So this appeared later than the 12-year-old, and this is matured, as far as I know, in sherry cask as well. So 16 years in handmade oak casks. Oh yeah, when I look too deep in the whiskey glass, I can see the bad fairies. Flurb X-ray. He's often into this these videos. Kilo Romeo, poor Ben.
It wasn't that bad. I didn't drown.
I censored the Brother Grimm. It was traumatic, those tales.
I have to read the Brothers Grimm. I've never read the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah.
I didn't
you
miss.
see.
I didn't miss the Strubbelpeter because that's just too much on scaring children. But the Brothers Grimm, these stories were
It's
much
scaring adults.
cooler. So what you got in your glass?
Yeah. So there is a lot of sherry cask influence, really, and cloves. Probably moving over to marzipan, fruitcake, Christmas. Yeah, bakery for Christmas. A little lighter note, it's just 40% ABV as the 12-year-old has, but it's a little fresher, but a little bit lighter. Probably this marzipan with the rose water in it. Yeah, so a lot more intense than the first one.
Yeah, it's where the first one was a really summer whiskey. This one is more like autumn or Christmas, with a lot more sherry. Unfortunately, I don't really say that there is sherry in it, but I would, as far as go, say yeah, there is sherry in it, and it's beautifully with dried fruits with a little nuts in there, some roasted aroma, and yeah, also a little bit more oak than in the first one.
Struwwelpeter is not Brothers Grimm. Yes,
It's not.
it
but,
isn't.
But
I
it's
sense it
similar-
both. I sense it both.
It's similar scary. No, I mean probably Brothers Grimm is more scary. The other one is just nasty.
And Brothers Grimm is 4 books this size, and Struwwelpeter is 1 this size. Yeah, and one is Brothers Grimm is 18th century, I think.
But
Yeah,
they come from Hanau.
and Struwwelpeter is, I think it's Victorian time. Yeah, so a lot of, now vanilla is showing up. Slange.
Slange?
First oily, little syrup note, and then more juicy citrus notes, probably again kind of pineapple, but not as fresh, more subtle, more darker sherry notes. In the aftertaste, a little bit of spiciness, not too much, nothing at all about bitterness. So it's a harmonizing dram. So this is everything is balanced very well. Yeah.
This whiskey is really balanced. It does have enough sweetness, and it's still very oily. It does have honey, but still you feel more about a little bit of a wine note going on, bittersweet notes going on, chocolate notes going on, some oak notes going on. So it's a good mixture between a stronger, more hefty whiskey and a sweet whiskey. And 16 years of age is just a very, very nice age.
So nebulous bread with almonds butter.
Yeah.
So the bread for the oiliness, almonds, yeah, but I never had. Yes, I had almond butter, like peanut butter. I had almond butter.
I
Yeah.
think you still have some at home. No, that's hazelnut. I like it. This time the script is a bit different. We do have a little production now. Then we do have the 21, and then I still have some production. So it doesn't end with the 21 year. And today we have another special. We have
Voting.
A voting, an opinion poll about which one was the best. There is a new voting feature within YouTube that we can try the first one time here. I think it's already old, but we don't have that many live tastings that we come out with the fast and the new with everything that comes out on YouTube. So yeah, good. Let's start. Let's go into the distillery. Now this is a picture that you took.
Yeah,
1995
1940, 94, yeah.
94?
Or 95, 94.
1994,
Yeah.
that is. And yeah, the distillery was rebuilt in 1972, and the malting floors were discontinued, that are the very, very far side of the building. And they built, they did a lot in the distillery, and they discontinued the peating of the malt, and they got the new malt that was just non-peated malt. So at the very, 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 very old Aberfeldy, they do have peat smoke within them, but you very, very, very rarely find a peated Aberfeldy, because back in the days they were mostly used for the blend industry, so there were not many Aberfeldy bottles bottled. So if there are any bottles, they belong to the distillery or some very, very, very rich people. Yeah. So when we have the malt that has been transported to the distillery, the first thing it is being grinded down in the malt mill. This here is the malt mill. It's a very, very old malt mill, and it just needs one maintenance per year, and it runs forever. It's built for eternity. That's why the companies who built these malt mills went bankrupt, because they couldn't sell any new ones. One time everybody had a malt mill, and then there was no demand for more malt mills. Yeah, so the malt is being grinded down to grist, coarse grist, and that's done 7.5 tons into the mash tun, mixed with a combined mass of or combined volume of 60,000 liters of waters in 3 mashings, and they are done at 65, 75 and 85 degrees. So with continuous temperature, the very, very rest of all the sugars and all the starches are being washed out of the mash. And it's a very, very new and very modern mash tun that's there to conserve energy, be environmentally friendly, and just get the efficiency of the distillery up. It's off then to the washbacks, and the washbacks are pretty big with 33,500 liters of capacity, and that is not that doesn't look very big, but that's a false floor, so it does go very, very deep down. And I think it's mandatory to have a grid where you walk on, and you're not allowed to walk at the bottom of the room, because the vapors that come out can suffocate you, and they fill the bottom of the room. So they have 11 washbacks. 6 of them are made from Siberian larch. Then they have 2 of Douglas fir and 3 of stainless steel. So I think the distillery was growing continuously, so they had to add more to them, and then they have now a mix of their different washbacks. I think some of them are even located outside the buildings. I think it's the stainless steel ones. Yeah. Here we look into one of the washbacks, one of the wooden washbacks, and you can see foam and bubbling inside the washback, and that is gas rising up, because the sugars and the yeast, they produce alcohol and also CO2. And
fermentation gas,
as they call it today, because CO2 has such a bad reputation nowadays. And that is bubbling up to the top, and just foaming a little bit. So there are motors on the washbacks. If you look at the top of washbacks, there are motors that are crushing down the foam so it doesn't foam over. Yeah, that was it. That leaves you with a beer of about 8 to 9%, and how that is being distilled, we're going to find out after the 21-year-old.
There have been questions about the pricing of these whiskies. So the 12-year-old is a mass production and sells in the 30s, in the mid 30s, up to 40s. The 16-year-old is around 60, going to 70, and the 21-year-old is around 150. So there's a steep increase in price, and we will see shortly if it's justified to have such big price differences. So what to say is, for such a distillery and such a range of whiskey, it's really good that they still have whiskey with an age statement on it. So all the modern distilleries, they have no age statement whiskey as an addition to the normal ranges. And here you have 12, 16, 21-year-old. And this is where you have an age. I find this very, very important. So next one is the 21-year-old Aberfeldy. Here we are. And the box a little bit more sophisticated and more valuable, but the tubes are very good as well. Yeah, here we go. So this cork is an original cork, and this one here, those two have a press cork.
So original cork is cut out of the cork oak, and the pressed cork is the little bits from the cutout are being pressed into corks.
They have an advantage.
Stoppers, that's what they call it.
I never had. Here you're able to see it. These pressed cork have advantages. Until this week, I never had a weird smell in a pressed cork. Early this week, I had the first press cork which has a TCA in it. So they are in it, but they are really, really rare.
So he has many TCAs because we are a whiskey selling company. It's not because he has so many bottles that he gets TCAs, but we sell thousands of bottles, and the TCAs come back, and we go, yeah, that's a TCA. Okay, refund.
One to 2,000.
Replacement.
One out of 2,000 probably.
Yeah.
So with the wine industry, it's 1 of 200, and with the whiskey industry, it's 1 of 2,000.
So I never had a TCA with any of the bottles. I should have.
We
should
have, yeah. So we have close to 2,000 videos online.
So there
should be one now.
Maybe there was one in my early days and I didn't recognize it. but I had a few TCL smells already now, so I know.
So this is a relative to those two, definitely. It's the same base smell from this honeyed, lightly sweet liquid, but in this time together with a heather, a smell of heather, blowing heather, and a little bit more vanilla than the others have in the beginning. Yeah, in the back there's a little bit of spiciness, but not already recognizable which one. Yeah. So this is elegant, balanced, not too complicated. 40% as the others have. No alcohol at all. Yeah, wonderful.
It's beautiful because it's also very, very round. You have that honey note is still there, but it's because all the other flavors from the maturation are so much stronger. It's now down to a nuance or to a finer note, and it's you do have a bit of a flowery touch still to it, more of a heather touch to it. It does have some nice grape or wine notes in it, and it's definitely a lot darker, a lot more mature, a lot more oak than the other two. And that's the extension of what we feel from the 12 to the 16 to the 21. That's just, you just feel the maturity, but still very, very round.
Yeah. So here, Antonio D again, Portugal is the country of cork. Yes, we hiked through the cork forests. They are very lightly populated, or in the southwest of Portugal, and we've seen a truck carrying all these barks, cork barks.
So, we do have some
Strawberries,
people
yes, Kilo Romeo, strawberries.
who trusted it. Someone said Apfeltrister. Apfeltrister is the draft, the one that's left from the mash tun when you extract the it's called draft, and that's from the apple wine. So the left off of the apple wine. Actually, I think I've had Apfeltrister, so the draft of apples, but can't remember how it smells.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Light, friendly, juicy, sweet. And then after 10, 15, 20 seconds, spiciness kicks in. And you really have a spiciness from the oak casks. Definitely wonderful, not, I like to say not too bitter, but now the light bitterness of dark chocolate appears, stays long on your tongue. And the oranges are again here. Yeah.
It's the sweetness is toned down. It does have a bit of a sweetness, but the dominant flavors are a bit of sweetness, chocolate, orange, zesty, oakiness, some spiciness in there as well. So now I do have that ginger touch. There were a lot of people already saying about ginger, and especially in the German video, but now I do have a little bit of a ginger note in here as well.
Yeah,
I like it. But it's a much heavier whiskey, so it's a much stronger and heavier whiskey. So if you'd introduce someone to a whiskey, then that would be a good range to start off with. A very nice, pleasant, easy start from the beginning, a balanced one, and then a very old, mature with a lot of volume and a lot of flavor in it. And here's why is the 21 only 40% ABV? I think that's the strategy of the distillery, that they said we all go with 40. They all do have 40%, so that's what I think what they want to do. They have a full range that goes with 40, and I think their specialties like this bottle down back here, they do have different ABVs in there, but their standard range they go with 40%, and it's a bold move because everybody expects a 21-year-old whiskey to have at least 43 and usually 46 or something like 48 in it, because it's just, if you have such an old whiskey, you expect more ABVs.
But you have 21-year-old whiskies. There are a lot of distilleries out there which haven't 21-year-old any longer, so they are sold out. And if you bottle with only 40%, you reach a little bit far.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, I promised you that we continue with the production. And we've just been left with a beer of 8 to 9% ABV, and now the beer has to be distilled, and that goes into the still room. Here we can see the still room with very big and wide stills, and the first ones are the wash still. They have a capacity of 16,500 liters, and at the back of the rooms are a bit taller, a bit thinner, the spirit stills with 15,121 liters. They're kind of classical Scottish pot stills. They are a bit wider, and I would say medium height. The spirit still is a bit thinner and taller for a good separation for finer spirit.
But they do not have any reflux bowl, nor do they have a constriction piece above the bowl. So they bring quite an interesting full spirit. And they are not run too fast. So they are light in color. They are not oxidized so dark.
So that's a good question. How fast are they run? How fast are they were they run back in the days, because they were used in the blend industry where you have to have a lot of stuff and cheap stuff. So faster than distillation? I don't know. So, but usually, also when you were in there, you were realizing they were not going at high speeds, and with as you say, you can see it. They're not that dark. Yeah. The spirits are then condensed in the condenser that you can see here, and they are being filled into the cask at 63.5% ABV. So they come off still at 70-ish, something between 70 and 80, and then they're being watered down and filled into the cask at 63.5% ABV. Here is the warehouse that is on site. And it's a show warehouse, where they paint it really, really nice and have the years on the casks, and I think a few have royal names on them as well. And there are also one or two casks always inside the warehouse where you can fill your own bottle or have your tasting straight from the cask. The distillery uses usually just ex-bourbon casks. But as you can see with the Aberfeldy 21, that was matured in sherry butts as well. So they do have sherry butts as well. But the most of the distillery just works with ex-bourbon casks. From the outside, the houses look very old. They're not the very, very old style Dunwich warehouses, but they're a bit taller. They're not as tall as the modern warehouses that are 6, 7, 8 stories tall, but they are medium height, made of cobblestone, and that was built probably in the 1890s maybe.
Victorian ages,
maybe 1900 something. So maybe they were timely for that age. Also, you can see a pipe coming out of that house or going into that house, and that is for cask filling. So the spirit from the distillery that is now from that picture on our left is being run into the distillery and then filled in the warehouses into the casks. Probably some of them are sent uphill, because there are some warehouses there as well, and a few of them, or a lot of them, I don't know quite, are being put on the lorry or truck if you're American, and then shipped off to the Dewar's warehouses, where they are stored in different warehouses, so they don't lose too much if one warehouse would burn down. So, and what we also have already is the questionnaire, or the question about which one was the best. And for me, it changed a little bit from the first to the second. Got a bit more ambitious. And for me, it was now the number 2, so the 16-year-old, then the 12, and then the 21. It's just because I was more in for a lighter whiskey that evening. In the first run, I was for the 12 was the best, because it was just such a good opener, such a nice, round, sweet, floral whiskey. And I was just not in the mood for such a well-developed whiskey, I would say. But if you're really in the mood, the 21 is really good whiskey. So
smelling them now, there's a lot of vanilla in it. Vanilla and caramel, so it's good cask work. And they're not that different in the smell now. So I stay with my judgment. So it's 3-2-1.
3-2-1.
If I look at the prices, then I would say 2-3-1.
Yeah, the 21 is a bit more pricey, definitely. So, can we end the questionnaire and find out what the people thought, which one was the best? So it's the 16-year-old with 53%, then the 12 with 26, and the 21 with 19%. A little bit different.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
So now it's a perfect match for me. I was going with the mainstream. Exactly as I thought.
There might be some bias in it, because not all of them would have the 21-year-old at home.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, but yeah, the 16 was in the German take. It was also the best. Then they thought the 21, and then they thought the 12. So yeah, the 16 is really exceptionally good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very, very nice, well balanced whiskey.
So we have some additions to the bottles. Here you have a number on it for the 12-year-old. Here is the number on it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a limited bottling batch number. So the limited is really marketing blur. It's a batch number 2905. And how big the batches are, yeah, it's your idea. And the second one has nothing to say in this matter. But the 21-year-old have here a bottle number, and this is really a bottle number. And if you look carefully, it's 92,622. So they really have some casks with 21-year-old. Old. And here there are 3 casks shown here, and below the cask is written first fill casks, refill hogsheads, and sherry butts. Yeah.
So yeah, this is the only one where we do know what is inside the whiskey in terms of maturation, which cask maturation. The other 2, they just don't say it. For the 12, I'm not quite sure if there's any sherry in it. Maybe a little bit, but the second I would say definitely there is sherry in it. So that was it. There is still an announcement for next time. We will have more live tastings coming up. If you go to Whisky.com/live, there is a list where you can see what live tastings are coming up and what we're trying in these live tastings. And the next one will be on the 5th of December, and it will be what's it called in English? It's
Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas or Santa Claus or
No, Santa Claus is Christmas.
yeah, but it's Christmas. Yeah, or the Coca-Cola man. I don't know. I have both. I have both the things to wear. So I don't know if I'm gonna be in the Coca-Cola man or the Saint Nicholas. But you will not be there. You'll be gone. So I will have a different special guest. And he will be Daniel Schöll, and that's the brand ambassador from Beam Suntory for malt whiskies. We're going to try Beam Suntory whiskies. And we're going to talk about a little bit of background about St. Nicholas. And also we're going to talk about the whiskies and the backgrounds. It's not going to be a different distillery video. It's just going to be, what's the night with the 6th of December called? Isn't that Nikolaus talk? Isn't it?
So in the night from the 5th to the 6th.
St. Nicholas is Santa Claus.
No.
Is it not?
No.
Mr. Coca-Cola with Lady Pepsi. Is there a Lady Pepsi? So what's the 6th of December? What kind of holiday or not holiday? What kind of day is that? Isn't that with the stocking day or something? Do they call it? Where you have the shoes or the stockings hanging there, and then there's the bearded guy that throws something in. And I don't know how they call it in English or in America or wherever. Just write it in the chat. So, yeah.
Peter Hamilton, Aberfeldy is not far from me here in Dundee.
Yeah.
So I had been there from a cruise ship. We stayed at Perth. And from there we went up by bus, and then I made a tour for the people on the boat visiting the distillery.
Boxing Day.
Boxing Day, that's the word. Yeah.
But why is it called Boxing Day? I've never known that.
No.
Is it boxing because you put the presents in the box, or do you box your siblings? Or
never know.
I don't know why it's Boxing Day. Okay.
That's the 6th of January.
Well, it's the 6th of January. That's
Boxing Day. They're all not able to use Google.
They're sitting in front of a computer screen. We have 4 computer screens, but we can't put in anything in. So, yeah.
Boxing Day.
That's 26th of December.
Boxing Day is the day after Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but
Not in Christmas.
be sure I will research it and I will have the English words for that.
It should be Unboxing Day. So there from this comes.
Unboxing Day.
But
Okay. So
6th December.
just be there on the 5th of December and we will find out together what it's
Saint Nicholas Day.
called. Is it really Saint Nicholas Day?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the celebration in Germany.
No, Western Christianity.
Western
they say.
Christianity. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah. Do you have anything else?
No.
No. So yeah, that was it for today. We've had a long 2 hours for the Aberfeldy, but it was really nice. So I can already say, yeah, get one of the Aberfeldy. They are great whiskies, but they are really easy whiskies.
Yeah.
40%ers, nice, creamy, oily, always with a honey touch to it.
Balanced,
Yeah.
no edges,
Mhm.
no corners.
So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.